Yeah, no, conscious hip hop is not nearly as profoundly and pervasively embraced as it should be. You know, when you have a guy like Mos Def, you can laugh and criticize Michael Jackson if you wanna. Woody Allen molested and married his stepdaughter. Same press kicking dirt on Michael's name. Show Woody and Sun Yi at the playoff game holding hands. Now sit back and think about that. Would he get the same dap if his name was Woody Black? OJ acquitted by a jury of his peers. They've been messing with that for the last 10 years. Is it fair? Is it equal? Is it just? Is it right? Do we do the same thing if the defendant's face is white? White boys doing it well, it's success. I start doing it well, it's suspect. They say they want you successful, he said earlier, but then they make it stressful. You start keeping pace, they start changing up the tempo. No, we ain't hearing that enough. We're hearing from his song Miss Fat Booty. I understand why. Behind so fat you can see it from the front. As Arsenio Hall used to say, that's something to make you go, the gluteus emphasis on Maximus, to be sure. But let's not reduce women to their behinds. They have brains, souls, and spirits after all. But the point is, we'd rather listen to one song as opposed to another, and both of them are important. Conscious rappers often get outraged by the fact that they're segregated and quarantined as conscious rappers, because that's like vegetables. They're good for you, kids. No, it's not other good food that you like. It's the food that's good for you. And so they don't want to be made the broccoli of the rap world. They want to be like sweet potatoes, too. So when we artificially segregate them, that ends up doing a disservice to them because, you know, even conscious rappers want to make love sometime and have fun and go to parties. Must rap carry the burden of the entire, you know, Western black world in terms of its conscience? You know, black people do not demand, and Americans more broadly, and the West even more broadly, doesn't demand that country music be critical. When's the last time country music had something good to say about, you know, social injustice? Nobody even asked, I don't know, Kenny Chesney. You know, are you going to do something serious? You know, are they going to go up to Dwight Yoakam? What do you say about the war? You know, are they going to axe, you know, Alan Jackson? Is it true? Must we deal with the subprime mortgage scandal? So the thing is, why is it that we put on the backs of 17, 18, 19, 20, 20-year-olds burdens that we don't artistically assign to arguably equally enlightened and even more established artists? Now, part of that has to do with the fact that hip-hop has sold itself as the stuff. You know, we are the headquarters of the authentic. We are the orbit of the bona fides of black people. So we get a chance to tell you what's real, what's true. So maybe some of that bragging is having negative consequences now. Oh, okay, you're the stuff? Then what are you doing? But having said that, conscious rap by Common doesn't get nearly as much play, even though he had a #1 album, thank God, as a conscious rapper, probably the most successful conscious rapper in the history of hip-hop, one of the most brilliant lyricists we've produced, certainly. But then you've got other rappers in the mainstream, varying degrees of it, from Jay-Z at the ultimate pinnacle of mainstream rap, and Nas, who has certainly had tremendous mainstream success, even as he is seen as an underground artist. Nas says, it's only right that I was born to use mics, and the stuff that I write is even tougher than dice. I'm taking rapping to a new plateau through rap slow. My rhyming is a vitamin hell without a capsule. Smooth criminal on beat breaks. Never put me in your box if your ish eats tapes. That's the raison d'etre of hip-hop philosophy articulated by Nas in, what, 93, 94? So, you know, this is a smart guy, an 8th grade dropout. This is why we have to be very critical of schooling versus education. He didn't have much schooling, but he has tremendous education and learning. I say all that to say that, yeah, he's a consciously informed rapper as part of the mainstream, but he still talks about thuggery and gangsters and the like, because he's dealing with the whole panoply of interests that occupy the American black imagination. Or a guy like Jay-Z. Now, my teachers couldn't reach me and my mama couldn't beat me hard enough to match the pain of my pop not seeing me. So, with that disdain in my membrane, got on my pimp game, the world, my defense came. Wow. Okay, now we see what you're dealing with. You know, when you look at a guy like a Jay-Z or look at a guy like a Nas, you don't necessarily qualify them as conscious rap purely, although they're extremely conscious of the social inequities that prevail. I went to see a Jay-Z Mary J concert recently, and Jay-Z stopped the music, flashed the big face of George Bush projected onto the screen behind him, and a cappella recited Minority Report. And boy, was it powerful, because people actually heard the words. And he was critical of the Bush administration, and critical, because he wouldn't have been a Bush, he would have been another orchid among poor kids, right? Had he been left down. If his jet blew he wasn't. But what about if his jet dropped down? He would have been not a Bush, but an orchid among poor kids, right? So I'm messing up his lyrics, but you get the point. He's saying that, this is the serious thing. He says, Jay-Z talks about in that song about, in truth, he didn't give a dime. He said, and in truth, because he didn't give his money, he didn't give a dime. He wanted to give money, he wanted to give his time and resources to the people, but he says, even me, I'm going to be self-critical. I didn't give the money that I should have given for this, or I did give the money, but I didn't give the time. So in truth, I didn't give a dime. He's self-critical there. All that stuff happens among these kind of rappers as well. So I don't make a hard and fast distinction between conscious versus unconscious rap. What was Tupac? Somebody rake me, I'm dreaming. I started as a seed, the semen. Swimming upstream, planted in the womb while screaming. On the top was my pops, my mama hollering stop from a single drop. This is what they got? Not to disrespect my people, but my papa was a loser. Only plan he had for mama was an abuser. And even as a seed, I could see his plan for me, stranded on welfare, another broken family. He also said, much respect to those who break their necks to keep their hoes in check. Oh, they will sweat a brother majorly. And I don't know why your girl keeps paging me. She tells me that she needs me. Lady, take it easy. Hate to sound sleazy. I don't want it if it's that easy. Well, he did that, I get around. He said that, but he also said, just the other day, I got lynched by some crooked cops, and to this day, them same cops on the beat getting major pay. But when I get my check, they taking tax out, so we paying the cops to knock the blacks out. Subsidizing your own oppression through your economic base. Aha! High intelligence, critical acumen, matched with a kind of desire to see social change occur. Ain't it funny, when it rains, it pours. They got money for wars, but can't feed the poor. Man, Pac, where you at, brother? So, yeah, we need some, that's why we still love you, because you made it possible for people to get it. What they say, you put it where everybody could get it. You made it, you broke it down. So when you look at a Jay-Z or a Nas, a Tupac, a Biggie, when you look at people who are social critics come artists, or artists come social critics, then you begin to see that the conscious versus unconscious cannot be so radically divorced. And at the same time, the conscious rappers just want to get played. They don't want to dog nobody else. But can we get played on the radio? Can we say something? J Live. How about Talib Kweli, one of the most brilliant lyricists in the history of hip-hop? These cats drink champagne, toast death and pain like slaves on a ship, bragging about who got the flyest chain. Whack. There you go. How about Black Thought, the most underrated MC of all time, one of the most brilliant, arguably the greatest live performer of hip-hop in the history of this genre. And you got some great live performers. Jay-Z, Common, Talib. You got some serious live performers. Mos Def. But Black Thought, I mean, one of the most underrated and yet one of the most ingenious lyricists of all time, spitting his truth, telling the truth about his people and their struggles. So, yeah, we don't hear enough of that on radio. We hear a lot of this Superman, that hoe. And then you don't have the Superman no more. You just got the Spider-Man, that hoe. Oh, my God. So you mean you're wasting your time putting that to wax or on a lyric or downloading it or on a ringtone, as opposed to ringing the tones of democracy and ringing a powerful sound for freedom and striking a blow for justice. I mean, what? And it ain't got to be highfalutin. You mean in the midst of George Bush, rappers ain't got more to say about that? The Marcus crisis, you ain't got more to say about that? The downturn in economies, you want to brag about flossing and you bling? That's why Jay-Z said 30's the new 20, brother. I'm so hot still. Better automobile. I'm young enough to know what kind of car to buy, but old enough not to put rims on it. Thank you, Jesus. So let hip-hop grow up. Let it evolve. But Jay-Z says on one of his songs, he says, y'all confusing me. I make Give It To Me or Big Pimpin', you call me one of the greatest writers of the 20th century. I make some thought-provoking stuff, and you ask him if I'm falling off. So he made a song called Ignorant-ish. And he says he says, let me give it to you right now. All the stuff I can't say. He says, all right, don't act like you don't like it. That's what you like. Because you don't like it when I tell you the game's up people, your beats did it, your gangster look did it, Your lyrics didn't. Your gangster rap didn't. You know, I'm messing up his lyrics. But the point is, he's saying, look, here I am speaking about something edifying, important, insightful. And then, you know, you don't want to hear me. Oh, that's old. That's too. We don't want to deal with that. But if I talk about something about pimping and hoes, then you down with it. This is the conundrum we've forever faced, a paradox even. That is, black people in particular, but others claim they want edifying art. When we make edifying art, they don't buy it. They don't go see it. Make a great movie like Talk to Me from Casey Lemons, a brilliant movie about a real historical figure and her take on it. It didn't do as well as it should have. The great debate is not as it should have. And these are great pieces of art. But then if we make Booty Call Part 25, I ain't mad at Booty Call. Part 1 was great. But, you know, I mean, we don't have to be either or, but when it turns out to be we're either supporting booty calls or the other stuff, that's when it becomes problematic, and that's when it gets really, really, really serious. So, yeah, to answer your question, yes, there's not enough conscious hip-hop on radio, and there's so much more intelligent and lucid expression that needs to be heard from, and unfortunately, they're not part of the top 10 playlist.